Hello, I'm Shemaine,
And I'm Simone.
and welcome to our show, The
The
Situation.
situation.
We'd like to start by apologizing. Last week we were on vacation, but we're glad to be back today. Now, our topic is a topic that we posted for feedback on our Facebook, and the topic was, what do you think of women who put up with losers when the proof that the guy is a loser is in their face? So, what do you think? And then we'll go to our comments from our readers and our viewers.
I think people become complacent with different situations. As far as it's already hard as it is in the dating game. So once a woman finds a man that meets some of her criteria, and the same thing with guys, they tend to put up with a little bit more than they would normally, just for the simple fact that either they have issues with being alone, or it's just too tough out there in the dating game, or what have you. But there's just a thin line between what you will put up with and what you won't. And that's what we're going to be talking about with you today.
Now, needless to say, I have had my experience of putting up with things that, maybe you shouldn't have, but, when you're outside of that situation, then you start to reevaluate it. I'm sure a lot of women can relate. But a couple of the feedback that we got from our Facebook, one gentleman said, maybe some of them think that that's all they can get, and maybe some of them don't care because they just want a man. Hmm. Now, I do know a lot of ladies who seem, from the outside looking in, it just seems like they just want a man, or you just get the view of them like they'll be happy with anything as long as they get a man, or maybe they've just given up on trying to find a good man because they're just, they just end up settling. You think that people just settle because
Definitely. So I think it also has something to do with the time period you are in your life. I mean, younger women, more outgoing, vibrant women tend to not even, let certain things worry them as far as when it comes to dating because, they can pull guys left and right. Same thing with guys. Guys tend not to have this issue for the simple fact that they're really not trying to be serious at such a young age anyway. But I think once a woman becomes more mature, she's looking for someone to settle down with, especially when it gets around that time where, your biological clock is ticking. You want someone who can be there. And if you are in a situation with someone who's even partially there, that may be enough to just cause you to settle.
that's true too. Now, as far as dealing with the losers that comment alone, there's that one quote that says, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me.
Definitely so.
Basically meaning that, okay, the first time you made a mistake, I'm going to forgive you and try to move forward because maybe I love you and I see potential in this relationship. However, the second time rolls around and let's say I forgive you again and the same thing occurs, whether it's cheating or disrespect or whatever the case may be, and then I allow it, then it becomes your fault in my point of view because you start to allow those things. Like if you let someone cheat on you, you forgive them, they do it again, you keep forgiving them. What does that create? It creates a pattern that keeps going and going and going, and then you still think, oh, maybe they'll change one day. And then what happens is a lot of times ladies and gentlemen find themselves 5, 6 years later thinking of, oh, I shouldn't have did that. And then you just have all these regrets and you've wasted nothing but your precious life, because time is precious with these guys or these ladies. What do you think?
Um, Myself personally, I seem to be a little more stern when it comes to relationships. Um, I I think one of the easiest ways to say it is I have a zero tolerance
Policy.
policy for ignorance, negligence,
Stupidity.
stupidity. I mean, I just don't have time. I think I've been like that for quite a while, but I just don't have time. I'm definitely seeking someone who's on the same level or a comparable level to where I am as far as what they want in life and where they want to be in a long term um, scenario. I don't have time for the baby mama drama, the attitudes, I'm still fighting at the club scene. I'm still clubbing every weekend scene.
I'm still looking for a job.
I'm still looking for a
2 years
job.
later.
I mean, come on now. I just can't deal with it. So I think it also though you can't control who you fall in love with.
Right.
You can't control,
But you
those.
can't control your happiness. Let me point that out.
But once again, that comes with when you're comfortable enough with yourself to say, hey, step back and say, hey, I'm not going to just settle. I'm not going to be in a predicament where I can't get out because I've allowed myself to get too far in.
Right.
You ask the necessary and appropriate questions up front, and if that person is true to you, they're going to tell you the truth. Now, let's say you get into a situation, and a few months, years go by, and things start coming out of the woodwork. Of course, you couldn't have foreseen it, but at that time, you have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to put up with that and tolerate that or move forward.
Once it's made aware to you.
Definitely so. I say it may be harder at that time for you to just walk away, but it's not going to be as hard as it was or it could be if you stay in that situation and allow yourself to be miserable.
Very true. Now let me read another comment from one of our readers. He says, another guy, and guys, it's funny because girls usually comment, but a lot of guys are. It says, I think it's all wasted time. Aside from experience being the best teacher, only if you learn the lesson, take heed and strive for the love you truly deserve, which is inside of you, that is your guide. So when you know and don't apply, we miss the golden rule, and thy own self to be true. So basically what he's saying is that if you don't learn from it and you keep making those mistakes, what do you end up expecting from these relationships? It's like if you get in a toxic relationship and you get out of it and then you get into another one, or basically like you lower your standards when you get into the next relationship, and then you can't act surprised when these things happen again because you kind of walked into it. And then on top of that, you didn't learn from the last time.
Right.
And you just keep on cycling. And so what do you expect? I had a friend who, the guy cheated on her. She went back to him. And then she wants to say, oh, I'm mad, I'm hot, I'm so upset. You really, the reality is not even being harsh and not being a good friend or whatever the case may be. You really got to tell your friend, you didn't expect that. What can you be mad about? Something that you knew and something that you allowed. You can't really be upset. Yeah, your emotions will make, you'll be upset, but realistically, how could you be, upset when you know what's going on? What do you think?
Again, it just falls back into people want what people want. Again, they become complacent with different situations, and I mean, sometimes the heart grows fonder when they feel like they're needed. And in a relationship, right, if she feels or he feels that the other person needs them for something, that may just be enough to let them or to encourage them to put up with whatever else is going on. I say if the pros if the pros don't outweigh the cons, it's time to let go. It's definitely time to let go. As Bill Cosby would say, the proof is in the pudding. So if he's a liar and a
right
loser, or she's a liar and a loser, let them go. Let them go. They're only going to tie you down.
But I do think, it's crazy. I think, and I told my friend this, I think one of my friends was trying to talk themselves into believing that what was happening wasn't happening, mm-hmm, because they were in love or whatever the case may be. They just try to talk themselves into it, or they make themselves be oblivious, mm-hmm, to something that's right in front of their face.
Right.
And then a lot of times, I know my friends probably felt the same way, but you be talking to your girlfriends. I know if I told her about something, she'd, just tell me straight up, like, this is what it is. But you're talking to your girlfriends, and they're just like, are you telling me the same thing you've been telling me for 5 years about the same dude or the next dude with the same issue?
Right.
What are you talking about? When are you going to learn from it? And a lot of ladies don't know how to be by themselves as well.
I think this is on a more, it's a serious thing, but it's more on a comedic level. When Cat Williams said in one of his stand-up shows, it is something about you. If you're 25 years old and you're wondering why you keep attracting guys that are losers, basically.
Right.
Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you, boo-boo. Maybe you need to worry about why you're attracting these type of people.
Seriously. There's this, I got to find his name, and someone probably knows, and if you're watching this, please email me and let me know. But there was this motivational speaker at our Black graduation back in 2008 at Sac State, and he spoke so blunt, but he just got straight to the point. He said, all these ladies out here, they got bachelor's degrees, you guys are over here settling for dudes with high school diplomas, and then you wonder why you end up alone or getting cheated on or broke or whatever the case may be. Basically, you end up unhappy. The way he worded it was just so good, and it was just
well articulated. Yeah.
I was like, wow, and it drove close to home, for a lot of people. So I'm gonna find his name out, but it was very, very good. So I'm gonna, look that up. But if you have any questions, comments, or topics, log on to our Facebook.